What's going on, good people? Welcome into what some are calling the greatest show of all time.
That's what I've been hearing, Trey.
Not mistaken. Welcome into the Delmarva Sports Insider, the only live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports. I, of course, am Sports Director Trayvon Miles.
And I, of course, am 47 ABC sports anchor reporter Brandon Bossert. The dream team of the Eastern Shore is back. We have a ton of news to get to tonight, Trey.
Exactly right. Welcome on into another episode of DSI. Brandon, of course, we've got another special episode for the people out there.
That's right, Trey, and I really think we're going to hit this one out of the park right here. We've got a lot of news to get to, like I said earlier.
You're exactly right, and a nice pun there because a lot of baseball. We'll begin with some of the biggest news of the week. With COVID-19 still very much alive in these United States, there was a huge unknown about high school sports coming into this fall. After all, the pandemic had already wiped out some of the winter and all of our spring sports season.
That's right, but fall athletes here in Maryland got some great news on Wednesday afternoon when State Superintendent Karen Salmon announced that Maryland outdoor high school sports would be able to resume practice and training within the same guidelines that were previously announced for youth sports. Now, for local coaches like Parkside Football's Brennan Riley, that news was very exciting.
Initial reaction, pretty hype. So excited, waiting to hear what will be the next, what are the guidelines, but overall, man, just excited. We'll wait for whatever direction that's going to come to us from our higher ups and who it is that's making the decisions with MPSSAA and MSDE being on the same platform. But whatever it is, we're gonna figure it out. And I know kids and everybody else is going to be pretty excited to get back at it.
You know, Brandon, when I talked to Coach Riley this week, he obviously was ecstatic, and he said that the part of that conversation went into the speculation of what this school year would look like and what everything else is going to look like thereafter. It's going to be hard to have a season if kids are still doing virtual learning. I think part of me still wonders how it's all going to work out, but this was, do not get it twisted, this was good news in the sense of trying to get back to some normalcy.
Yeah, it's some good news, but obviously there's a little bit of baby steps that we're taking at this point. But it's been since March 12th that schools were announced to be closed by Governor Hogan. And we're talking about those guidelines that are similar to youth sports. Well, Hogan has allowed youth sports to begin low contact practices outdoors and in groups no more than 10 people. Social distancing protocols must be followed. Staff and youth athletes should be screened regularly for COVID-19. And then hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, soap, water, or like there be readily available for all the athletes, and indoor locker use is prohibited. We should add that. So there are a lot of different safety precautions that are being taken, and rightfully so, because we have to remember that coronavirus is still very much out there, and we want to make sure that we limit the spread as much as we possibly can.
Yes, there are still folks on Delmarva getting coronavirus. Let's move to Delaware now. Safety guidelines for baseball and for COVID-19 were released this week. This is a story that's catching quite a bit of heat on social media.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Trey, but some say the guidelines are necessary when it comes to staying healthy, and 47 ABC's Hannah Cicchini spoke with a Henlopen baseball coach and has the story.
Delaware baseball coaches say that as much as they want to keep their players safe, some of the guidelines put forward by health officials just aren't conducive to a good old-fashioned game of baseball.
You know, being as a coach, you always want to try to protect your players and make that distance farther for the pitcher to throw the ball. That's definitely going to put them in a tough spot.
A tough spot, but not one that's impossible to get out of. Delaware Governor John Carney says that he understands the importance of youth sports and that he wants to help kids get back into the game safely.
Sports for our children is really just so important. It's the way we stay close to our children. It's the way we enjoy their progress through life.
Dover High School's head coach of varsity baseball, David Gordon, says that when it comes to considering getting back on the ball field, safety is key.
On social media, everybody's really taking shots with the guidelines. I think everybody needs to just take a step back and relax a little bit and really look at them.
The guidelines include moving the home plate umpire behind the pitcher's mound and doing away with second base stealing. But Coach Gordon says that one of the biggest issues that could come up with these guidelines is that if the catcher can't be 6 feet away from the batter, they'll be removed completely.
If a hitter can move up in the box a little bit more. The catcher could probably stay where he normally is. But there's no way you could probably play a baseball game without a catcher. I mean, we'll be out there 4 or 5 hours.
Coach Gordon says that without a catcher, it's hard to pitch accurately, and that can extend game time. In the meantime, Governor Carney says that while guidelines may change gameplay, the state's top priority is keeping young athletes safe.
We all have an interest in doing this for our children, the health and vitality of the kids and the fun that they've been missing.
And Delaware health officials say that they should have guidelines for other sports starting on June 12th. Reporting from the Diamond, Hannah Cicchini, 47 ABC.
Now, Coach Gordon says that kids in Delaware can brush up their skills in an instructional league that's being put together right now. To read a full list of safety guidelines, make sure you check it out on our website. That, of course, is 47abc.com.
So, Trey, what are your thoughts on some of these
proposals? I don't know, man. The regulations, in my opinion, have to be put in place, in essence, for the state to say they are being safe. But, you know, like Coach Gordon said, some of them are almost physically impossible. I grew up playing catcher.
Yeah.
How do you play baseball without a catcher? I mean, I guess it's something to explore if these guidelines continue, and if we possibly see a spike in cases later on in the fall, that may be where baseball ends up moving if we want to have a season instead of what we had this year, which was nothing.
Well, you were a catcher. I was an umpire for 10 years, actually. And
nice.
So moving the home plate umpire out to behind second base or right behind the pitcher, I think that's a very interesting call right there. But you're talking about moving these batters up in the batter's box. You're talking about moving catchers back in the catcher's box right there. And I mean, you're talking about kids that have been playing this game for about 10 years, so now they have to change up how they're playing. It's for the safety of the players, and like Coach Gordon said, we have to look at these guidelines very carefully. But it would be a very tough transition for these players. I mean, moving up in the batter's box even a foot or two, and you're facing maybe 85 to 90 mile an hour pitches, they'll be coming in a lot quicker.
It's going to be hard.
All right, and some more news now. We will soon have live baseball to cover here on the Eastern Shore. American Legion may have canceled its World Series, but local coaches and players are coming together to make sure that they can hold a season.
Exactly right. We spoke to coaches and players from one of those teams, the Wicomico Blue Sox, while they gear up for their upcoming season.
The sounds of summer are back on the Eastern Shore.
Glad to be back out on the field, just playing baseball.
While there may not be an American Legion World Series in 2020, local teams like the Wicomico Blue Sox are out on the field, getting bullpens in, taking cuts in the cage, and out in the outfield shagging fly balls.
When he said that we're starting practicing for Legion, it was the best feeling in the world.
The kids, their focus, their motivation to be back on the baseball field is unlike you've ever seen.
While Major League and Minor League Baseball seasons are up in the air, these players are poised to get their season underway on the 4th of July weekend.
A couple of us coaches here on the shore started texting, as well as a couple of the coaches from the Western Shore that we would normally play in a regular season.
And now 3 of the 7 Legion teams on the Eastern Shore of Maryland are committed to playing, and Seaford's team has shown signs that they'll play as well. Coaches and players are still hopeful they can find more teams to help fill out the schedule and eventually crown a champion.
Probably the second week of August, before, hopefully fall sports kick back in for high school, that we're going to have some sort of league championship so that we can at least, have a title as, Legion champion for at least the Eastern Shore.
And for these players, it's a chance to get on the field and play the game they love.
I'm glad to have a season because high school's canceled and I really wanted to have a good season.
We had a season to show off what we were ready for in the off season, and now we had a chance to prove what we can do.
I'm real excited to start back up where we left off.
Now, Wicomico has about 16 to 20 games scheduled. They even have some games scheduled with travel teams so that they can get some extra playing time in. And all high school level players can take part in Legion, so this can be a big help for all of those players.
Yeah, I think when the young man said, when the coaches called and said that we can practice for Legion, that was the best feeling in the world. You had to feel happy for those kids who have been essentially sitting in all spring season, not playing any sports, especially with high school being canceled. So you got to love it. One thing about it, there's not a lot going on, so we will definitely
be out
see
there.
some Legion ball games here on 47 ABC. All right, that'll do it for the A block. We're taking a commercial break, boys and girls, but when we return, a youth baseball tournament is making its way to the Eastern Shore tomorrow, but not without some controversy. Yeah, that and more when Delmarva Sports Insider returns.
My name is Trenton Hillard. I play for North Carolina High School, and this is Delmarva Sports Insider.